Today we're talking about the Illinois 529 College Savings Plan, which is a great way to save for college for yourself, your kid, or even your grandkid. Today you'll learn about the two different Illinois plans, how to get a tax deduction, how to get the most out of your 529, and even what to do if you have money left over in your 529 plan. Let's first talk about the taxes. And for the state of Illinois, you can contribute money to a 529 plan and get a state income tax deduction up to $10,000 per person. When I say per person, I mean who's writing out the check? Who is the person actually putting the money in? Doesn't matter if you put that whole $10,000 towards one beneficiary or 1,000 beneficiaries. And it doesn't matter how much you put in, even if you went above $10,000, that maximum you can get for the year is $10,000. Of course, if you're married, that's two people, so that's $20,000 you can take off that joint tax return. Another important part of when you contribute is you have until December 31st. Your maximum latest day you can put it in for this calendar year is the end of this calendar year. That's unlike your HSA or traditional IRAs, or maybe even some state plans that you can go up to April 15th and put it for the prior year. For Illinois, the year is the year with contributions, and December 31st is going to be the last day you can put money into your Illinois 529 to get that tax deduction. You can even put in money that is a rollover. So if you had money at a different plan from a different state, you can put that into your Illinois plan, and it's your prior contributions, your principal, you can get that counted as an Illinois state tax deduction. Interesting thing with that too, with $10,000 being the maximum, when I was looking through the Illinois 529 website, they recommend if you do have a significant balance in another plan, then you might want to bring it in over time so that you keep getting that $10,000 deduction, over the course of several different years. Now on the federal level, your federal income taxes, there's no deduction at all. You do not get a deduction, any tax benefit today for putting money into the 529 plan. However, it grows tax deferred. As you're earning interest, there's no taxes that you're paying on that. And as long as you take the money out for qualified higher education expenses, then that money, that distribution, what you took out, that is tax-free. So you can put the money in, let it grow, and as you take it out, you don't pay taxes on the growth as long as you meet the rules. So that might get you thinking, well, what's the maximum I can put in? The maximum is often connected to the gift tax, gift exclusion, the most you can put in before you have to fill out a tax form. For 2024, it's $18,000. So you can put $18,000 into the Illinois 529 plan, and you just don't have to fill out a form. You don't have to tell anybody about it. You can put the money in. And of course, the state income tax deductions, that's got the $10,000 and the $20,000 as a couple for the state tax deduction limit. You can actually put in more than $18,000, where if you happen to put in more, even up to $90,000, because you can put in up to 5 years. Some people call it super funding. You put in 5 years, $18,000, and it counts as that gift tax exclusion for this year and just the next years on down the line. Of course, you can still even put in more than that. It's just that it's now over the exclusion. You have to go ahead and report it. There is actually a limit. And the limit is by state. For Illinois, if the 529 plan itself is above $500,000, it just won't even accept any more money allowed into there. So if your kid, your grandkid, has a 529 that's grown to $500,000, it will not accept any contributions. They won't allow you to put any more money into it. Now with Illinois, there are two main plans. There's Bright Start, which is the direct sold plan, they call it, and Bright Directions, which is the advisor sold plan. As far as I can tell, the exact investments are exactly the same except for the fees. Where if you go direct, you aren't working with an advisor and the fees are lower. If you go with the Bright Directions, you're working with an advisor and the fees are higher. There are dozens of different investment options, dozens of different fees with that. I'd encourage you to look at the prospectus for both the Bright Start and the Bright Direction. Look at the fund you're considering and make a direct comparison to see what the actual cost difference is, what I looked at was there's a bank savings plan in there. Exact same interest rate. And I thought that was the best way for me to see the difference in fees. And the difference in fees were if you go through directly to Bright Start or buy that through the advisor, the cost to the advisor was double compared to what the cost is direct if you're getting the bank savings plan. Again, the interest rate is exactly the same. It's just the deduction, the fees were double through the direct sold plan. Now it's different too, where I think it looks like it's probably higher, even more than 2 times the difference if you're buying one of the investment options that are in the market or one of those age-based options. But with dozens of different options, I'd encourage you to look side by side at the 2 on there, where you see that the Bright Start, the direct plan, is going to be a lower cost, and the Bright Directions, while you get the help of the advisor, is a higher cost and quite often comes with a 3.5% sales charge up front compared to the direct plan where there is no sales charge up front. Remember, for Illinois, you have to use one of those Illinois plans to get the state tax deduction. And quite often, if you're working with a financial advisor, they might not have access even to the Illinois plan, where they might have a 529 plan option for you, but it might be from a different state. I've seen states like Virginia, Nebraska, and Maine, and while those might be okay states, you're not getting the tax deduction, and you're still paying the added fees that come with investing with the advisor. Now, I've talked about putting the money into the plan. Taking the money out of the plan is quite important too. And what's interesting and what you need there for Illinois is there are federally higher education qualified expenses. I'll go through those. And there's Illinois actually has some expenses that they carve out, and they say that it doesn't qualify, it doesn't count as a tax-free distribution for Illinois. So let me go through those. Now, 529 plans have often been thought of as post-secondary. You might be thinking college, but post-secondary means after high school. There are technical schools, there are apprenticeships that count. It doesn't have to be the 4-year ivory tower kind of college, wear a coat like this kind of college to count as a tax-free distribution. It just has to be the accredited, the qualified post-secondary. So your tuition and fees that you take out, that's tax-free. The books, the supplies, the equipment, what's required by the school, that's tax-free. So not every Amazon purchase you make, even if it's books, is going to count on there. Expenses for special needs services. So if there's extra cost because of a special needs situation, that can come out on there. Qualified room and board if you're more than half-time. And the government says more than half-time is whatever the college says it is. So double check, is your student getting enough credits? Do they get more than half-time? What's that room and board that you can take out and have that count as a tax-free withdrawal from your 529? Computers and software, even the internet access, as long as it's for that student that's going to the school this is counting for, that counts. Now, software, it's got to be educational, right? Your mine coins, your Robux, those things aren't going to count towards that. Now, what's interesting too is you can actually take out money from the 529 plan and count it towards your student loans. So the theory is you already took money out, already had the expenses, but you can pay up to $10,000 of the student loans for the beneficiary, so the student or the student's sibling. That counts as well too. And for federal level, they added on a few years ago where it's not just post-secondary, but the K through 12 education, right? The private schools, that type of education, that counts up to $10,000. And that might help you for your federal taxes. Illinois, though, they exclude that. So you might have put money in the 529, got the tax deduction, then you take the money out for the K through 12 education, you're good to go on your federal income taxes. But when it comes to Illinois, that's the enrollment in the elementary or secondary, right? That doesn't quite count. Let's see here. It says if an Illinois income tax deduction was previously claimed, that might be added back onto your income. So I don't know if I'd stop you there from contributing to the 529 or using it towards the K through 12 education, But just do keep that in mind. If you got that tax deduction and you use it for K through 12 in Illinois, good to go on the federal income tax deal. But Illinois, they might be adding back some of the deduction you already got already. Remember, with all your education savings situations, you cannot double dip. You can't buy that one computer and have it come out of a Coverdell plan, have it come out of your 529, throw it on your taxes as the Learning Lifetime Credits or the American Opportunity Credit. You can't double dip on these. So when you're looking at all your expenses and where you took the money from, make sure to basically assign, okay, I took this expense out and it came from the 529. I took this expense out and I'm going to use it against my federal taxes for things like the lifetime learning credit, things like that. You cannot double dip at all, which might get you thinking, well, what if I have too much in the 529 plan? If you truly do have too much in the 529 plan and you have to take the money out and it's not for any of those qualified education expenses, there would be a 10% penalty on the earnings, and you would pay income taxes on the earnings, just like if you took money out from your traditional IRA before 59.5, like an early withdrawal penalty. It's tough, though, to have too much in a 529. You can always switch some money over to a different beneficiary. Think of if you put money in towards your kids, they don't use it. Give it a few years down the road, there might be grandkids, and you could shift the money towards there. Or there might be just right now a different sibling that went to the post-secondary school and the one sibling didn't. Well, you can find ways then to, once per 12 months, adjust that and shift the money towards that beneficiary on there. And of course, they just came up with a new plan that allows you to take up to $35,000 from your 529 plan, move it over to a Roth IRA. Now, there is a lot of rules on that, so definitely look into the very specific rules on how that counts. But just know there's extra ways that you can use that 529 plan. It's quite rare. I have yet to see anyone have to pay that 10% penalty because of all the different ways you can use that 529 plan for the qualified education expenses, whether it's for the one person you started with or for another person that you shifted the money on over to. So make sure to check out that Illinois 529 plan with the two different options of direct versus advisor sole. Remember, the direct is quite often 2 times cheaper than what the advisor plan might be. Find ways then to maximize your Illinois tax deduction, and you can even use that 529 plan to reduce your taxable estate. Hi, I'm Jeremy Keil, owner of Keil Financial Partners. And if you're interested in seeing how we help our clients get more income, pay less in taxes, and avoid big retirement mistakes, make sure to go to keilfp.com. That's KEILFP.com.